This is Cavan. I want to introduce you guys. Cavan?
Yeah.
You approached me a year ago.
A year ago.
And you guys had a thought, an idea of how to build something crazy. Mm-hmm. And Vibrant has a knack for finding the coolest cars.
Oh, yeah,
because we just get something, we get giddy inside, and the idea and your personality and your father's personality just made us feel as though this is going to be the one. Mm-hmm. And you guys obviously proven yourselves.
Yeah.
Our booth has been, I mean, this is Wednesday night, and our booth has been just constantly crammed. It is now 6 o'clock, and we just had every other photographer, famous photographer, finish shooting the car. We had Larry Chen here just do an interview with you.
Yeah.
But we wanted to take time and interview you ourselves and talk about how this all started. So why don't you tell me the story? You and your dad, where did this idea come from?
So it's kind of funny. So in high school, as a senior, I had 2 free slots for classes. And
we should start off with, how old are you?
Oh yeah, well I'm 20 right now.
So high school was not too long ago.
No, not too long ago. I'm a sophomore in college right now at UPUI, studying motorsports engineering. Mm-hmm. So, but basically in high school is when this started. I had 2 free slots. We were trying to find an internship that was good for engineering, and they couldn't really find the right slot. And I was like, hey Dad, like you've always wanted a Trans Am, and I want another car to work on, and let's do it. And so basically we presented a plan to the school, and eventually it got approved, and we just did it, and it eventually evolved. And I started posting this car on Instagram, and it was getting some good feedback. And basically when we came to you, we had 3,000 followers, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we came to you with our business card and a plan and some renders, and instantly you just saw the potential of the car, and you handed us the catalog and you said, let's do something.
Yeah, well this is like the perfect project for Vibrant, because you needed intake, you needed exhaust, you were putting turbos in it, and you needed fluid delivery, and lots of it, and heat protection. Yeah, because this thing's gonna get hot.
Super hot. Everything's not conventionally mounted in this car. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people wait till the very end or wait till they have problems and with the car till they start thinking about heat solutions. We've been thinking, my dad has an Indy Car background. He's been working in Indy Car racing worked in Indy Car racing for 25 years, and they've always been trying to deal with heat, and we knew that we were gonna have the same problem with this car. So we've been using a lot of your heat solutions. Heat products.
So let's kind of start off with what the power plant is. Okay. What kind of engine and transmission are you running here?
So it's an LSR built by Late Model Engines out in Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. An LSR is the same architecture as an LSX or an LS motor, but it's aluminum, so it's lightweight. It's steel sleeve to handle boost, and it's also built for high RPM applications. Mm-hmm. So this current setup with the Garrett G35 900 turbos, it's fully capable of 2,000 horsepower.
Where is the engine? Because a lot of people were asking that. They're like, is this an EV? Why is there no engine?
It's kind of funny because you look around the whole car, you don't see an exhaust system. Mm-hmm. You look around and there you see all the suspension up front. It's actually living right underneath the front dash.
Yeah, mid-mounted, right?
Mid-mounted, yep. And we pushed it back 28 inches from original position. It's an inch behind the original firewall. It literally lives basically almost like in the cockpit with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the transmission, where is it? Because it's clearly not behind the engine.
Yeah, it's so funny. So if we start working our way back here, if you can see it way back in there, there is a 6-speed sequentially shifted extract gearbox out of a 2000 to 02 IndyCar Champ car.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And because of your dad's background, you just had these parts readily available, or did you guys have to source them all?
So back in the day when basically the cart died off and the team splitted, or the series splitted, basically my dad bought up all the old IndyCar parts, and he built basically 40 IndyCars, and 5 of them were full runners. And we ended up with a lot of spare parts. So they sat around for 20 years, and eventually we decided, like, these are amazing parts. Some of the smartest people in the world sat down and designed all these components. Let's put a use to them. Let's make something really special with them. So this whole car has the drive line of an Indy car, but the exterior of like a DTM, LMPH, time attack car.
Speaking of which, who designed the body?
Yeah, so basically when we first started the project, we knew that we only needed the roof and maybe the cowl. So, and that's what we ended up with. And so when we started designing it, we took that into account. So RD53 Customs on Instagram, I reached out to him and we said, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to put a roof scoop on the car. We want to put a massive diffuser, massive fenders, and then we gave him some reference photos of certain parts we had, and we sat down for about a month and kind of got a general idea down. So I generally kind of came up with a lot of features, and my dad also had some valuable input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it came out really great. So what is going to be the purpose of this car?
Well, we're gonna be racing it. It's also street legal, so we'll be taking it to track events. But the main goal at the moment is to go to Grid Life and Global Time Attack with it, and just have a lot of fun.
And I remember your dad mentioning, he said that he had to build a car for you because you're 6'7".
I'm 6'6".
6'6".
Yeah. And I basically autocrossed this 72 Nova for a while, and it's pretty high, and we put a really low seat in it. And eventually I got really bored with autocross, and I figured, hey, let's build a track car. And I don't fit in any race car almost. So basically we built this, and I sit 5 inches off the ground.
Wow. So let's kind of talk about the Vibrant products that you guys used, because it's all over the car.
Yeah,
wherever
everywhere.
you look. Yeah,
everywhere. Fully plumbed by you guys.
Yeah. So I guess let's start from the very front. Yeah. So you got all the air coming through here, and I see all these lines. What's going on with the lines here?
So these are for the oil. We obviously have one of your Vibrant caps for the water fill. This is where the water you can fill it up. We put one of your caps also here for the oil system, but this is actually a dry sump from an Indy Car, Champ car.
Nice.
But we wanted to use your products, so we cut off some of the bungs and we put your own weld-on bungs on, so it was all super compatible. And then you can see that there's some massive Dash 16 lines coming from that oil, the dry sump, and it all routes in there through an oil filter. And there's also one of your Dash 16Y fittings. Yeah, way down in there. We also have a lot of your aluminum tubing that we use throughout the whole entire build to plumb a lot of the car. And then we have a lot of obviously we have some of your dry brakes. Yeah. So then, because the whole power unit of this car can drop out the bottom, kind of like a Ferrari or a Porsche, because obviously reaching a lot of the stuff is very difficult.
Well, plus you said you're going to compete with it, right?
Yeah.
So in case something goes wrong, like what's your solution to getting that engine out?
So basically there's a few different things we can do. We only have one engine, so if we have a complete engine failure, we're done for the weekend. But if we need to repair the coil packs, or like if something goes wrong with those, or the injectors, or the spark plugs, we can get to those. It's a little difficult, but we can get to them. But our plan is basically if we need to repair something, we can just basically drop it out the bottom. We lift up the car, and we have these scissor lifts that can go up and kind of grab them, and we lift the rest of the car away, and then we can move the power unit out of the way.
Yeah, everything's been thought out.
Everything's been thought out. It just barely fits up in there, but it fits. So.
And that's kind of where I'm getting at, is there's a lot of quick release items, like we talked about the dry brakes, and then I see the engine. As we move towards the cockpit, I see the tubing with the HD clamps.
Yes. Yeah. So as we move towards the middle, because we had a crazy packaging situation where the engine is in the middle, and there's a lot of aero devices up front that take up the rest of that room, we had to move the turbos behind the seat. That's the only place where they'd fit. So basically what you see going through the cockpit right here is the aluminum charge tubing coming from the turbos to the intake. And on the end where the turbo is, we welded an HD clamp on, and on the end where the throttle bodies are, we welded the clamp onto the throttle bodies.
Now, I know we can't see it right now, but I'm sure anybody that goes on Instagram, we could plug in a couple of photos, can see the exhaust.
Yeah,
it is crazy. So nice.
It's crazy. It's we built the headers actually in 3 days. We were going super hard. We got your mandrel bent tubing, and we just started cutting it and seeing generally where it goes. And we knew there were certain things that we had to do, and we got it all to fit and to be super compact, even though it's 2-inch primaries, which are huge for an engine. That's a lot of flow. So, but we have the whole system mounting really close inside. It's all covered up, but as it kind of routes through the middle of the car and then Y's back out for the turbos. It's all using your stainless steel. We also use some of your weld-in bungs for the lambda sensors. And we have some up front and we have some in the rear for the turbos. Well, they're all for the turbos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say in 3 days, if you're able to complete a full exhaust system that's so complicated, parts are pretty easy to work with, right?
Actually, extremely easy. I mean, we didn't have a single problem with them. It just came, packed, and we unpacked them and started cutting them. And actually, obviously, when you're building headers, you can make a lot of errors. So anytime, I mean, when we did, so basically anytime we had it clocked just even a degree off, we cut the tack, reclocked it, and never got corroded or had any issues through the whole scenario.
Wow. So now the exhaust fumes are coming out, traveling along the back of the car. I know you guys used a lot of heat protective sleeving as well down it, but then it gets to the turbos and starts spinning the exhaust compressor, the exhaust housing. And then from that side, you got to explain how the air gets sucked back in there.
So the whole process is that this air scoop is fully functional. This is where the engine breathes. So air comes into the scoop, goes wise out to some vibrant HD clamps, goes to their 4-inch inlet tubing, and then goes down to another HD clamp into the turbos. And then it comes out in through the charge tubes and into intake plenum that's turned 180 degrees backwards. Then we go to the exhaust that we made with all Vibrant products, and it goes all the way through here, back to the turbos. And then from that, we used more Vibrant products to basically exit from the turbos into our blown diffuser. So we slash cut one of their longer pieces of straight stainless and then dressed up the edge and it mounted it.
I know it's not related to Vibrant, but I want to talk about that suspension.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think everyone's been talking about it all week long.
It's the rage.
Yep. So how does this work? Because we have 3 springs. I mean, I understand how it works. I saw you guys building it, but maybe if you can show us an example of how it works.
Oh, an example?
I think an example would be great.
So if I stand up here, because our front splitter isn't an eBay special, it works. So if we keep looking, obviously I'm in the middle and I'm creating some pressure on it. You can see that this spring here is also compressing. So basically these rockers are going to rotate, and that push rod, it's going to push up, it's going to rotate in and compress that shock. So basically the way the whole suspension setup works is that there's the shocks for the low speed corners, and then you have, and allows you to have more mechanical grip. And then we have our third device, our heave spring right here, that starts working in higher downforce situations, which would be like on a straight. So basically as you get more and more downforce pushing the car, and both those springs are trying to compress, it starts compressing that heave spring, that third device, and it starts taking up some of the aero load. But basically, it's not a anti-roll bar. Like most people get that kind of confused with anti-roll bar. This T-bar and the blade down here, they're the anti-roll bar. So we have a cockpit adjustable anti-roll bar blade. So we can go in and there's 5 different positions and we choose one. And it's in full soft right now, so it would be able to go side to side a little bit. But if we flip it horizontal, it ends up being full stiff down there, and then that T-bar takes up any of the bend that's left. And we have different thickness ones of those and different thickness blades that allow us to change the anti-roll bar properties.
So the last thing I'm gonna ask you about is the carbon work, because there's so much of it.
Yes.
I was standing on the spoiler earlier. And I can attest to the fact that this thing is absolutely strong, can hold up my weight no problem.
Yeah.
And you were just standing on this as well. But I see like you got brake ducts. You have little splitters all along it. Who did all this work?
So some of this stuff is out of our carbon bin from a bunch of Indy cars. So the front corners are stuff from Indy cars. But then this front splitter, we basically designed it and had Composite Envisions make these large panels. And they also supply the stuff to make that scoop. But the rear wing is actually 2, I believe, Lola IndyCar wings, and we glued them together. There's a whole structure on the inside of that, and it could probably hold up 5 of you. It's pretty insane. So,
and the diffuser as well.
The diffuser is absolutely crazy. It's one of the biggest features of this car. It's kind of hard to tell, but it actually takes up about 1/3 of the length of the entire vehicle.
1/3?
Yeah. It actually starts right behind the seats. Wherever the seats are, and it's a good third of the entire car. So there's plenty of real estate to work with.
It's the vacuum. It's just sucking
Yeah,
it
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. It just sucks the air right out.
Wow. So are you excited to drive it yet?
Oh man, I've been waiting for it. I'm really excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna end it right there on what might be arguably one of the coolest cars at SEMA. One of the 2 coolest cars at SEMA. But yeah, thank you, Kevin, for your time,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
appreciate having you guys in our booth.
Yeah.
You and your father have been great.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions about the car, hit us up in the comments below, and Kevin will hop in, or Russ's father will hop in and answer your questions. Especially if it has to do with Vibrant products, we can get one of our technical service staff members to help you guys out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.